My name is Melissa Avara, and I love being a realtor. I specialize in real estate in the DFW and surrounding areas, and I also grew up here, so I'm very familiar with the Metroplex. Buying or selling a home can be an extremely stressful task, so I really try to go the extra mile to take that stress out of my clients' hands.
This is Going the Extra Mile. Now, from Friedo Nation Productions in the Caddo Office Reimagined Studios, here's Melissa.
Thanks, Kris. I'm here today with Frieddo and Kris at Friedo Nation Studios, and this is an intro of my new podcast, Going the Extra Mile, and what you can expect when you work with me in a real estate transaction.
That's one of the reasons I was really excited that you started this podcast, because, Kris and I are both believers in podcasts. And one of the things that a podcast can really do is highlight the personality and the character that people have. And you are definitely someone, I can't think of a better title, for the podcast, because you definitely go the extra mile in everything that you do. When I say everything, it's not just real estate, Kris. It's, if you get to know Melissa, everything in life, she seems to go the extra mile, whether it's working out. Like, how much time do you spend in a gym?
A lot.
You do.
A lot.
And you also have different areas of life that you're passionate about. And one of the things that you started a nonprofit called Coffee for Cops. And for those of you that haven't started a nonprofit, that's not an easy thing to do. That's something you have to be committed to do. And you got that up and running and off the ground. And you happen to be a mother.
When you're passionate about something, though, it just comes natural. Mm-hmm. You just want to do it.
And real estate is definitely a passion of yours.
Absolutely. When
I work with Melissa as a client, I'm getting someone who goes the extra mile.
I try to, most all of my clients seem to become friends, which I really like. Unfortunately, a lot of our industry gets a bad rap where people are just too transactional. And once they close on their house, you never hear from their agent again. You will never get that from me. You hear from me at least once, if not 2 or 3 times a month. And I just try to do the little things for my clients that I would want somebody to do for me, just to show that I value them, that their relationship is important to me. And I want them to always be able to pick up the phone, no matter what time of day it is, if they have a question, and know they're going to get an answer, no matter what that is. Like the last couple of months, I've had a lot of questions about, the taxes, and people not sure what to do. So, just providing the value in that way for what people need brings me a lot of joy.
The other thing about you is you don't have to be a client to benefit from Melissa's knowledge, because I'll tell you what, I've not done a transaction with you yet, but I still get your newsletter in the mail, like snail mail, which there's something charming about that. There's something kind of cool about being able to touch and feel that newsletter. And even though Kris and I are in the technology business and we should be very digital oriented, there's still something about getting something in your hands also.
Well, I think too, it's like I'm huge on client appreciation. So I have a client appreciation program, and that's part of it, what you get in the mail. And it's just, touches to people. And I feel like a lot of that stuff has been dying off. People don't send things in the mail. People don't write personal notes. Mm-hmm. They don't take the time to do the added extras, because texting is just convenient, or writing an email, and it's not personal. And that's my whole thing. I want it to be personal, because that's what I want people to do for me. Because I know when I get a personal note in the mail from somebody, I keep it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can see it in here in my office. Anything personal I get, I do keep. So I've got I'm looking right now. This sounds weird, but I'm looking at a picture of a teenage girl with her sheep that she, that I donated to her FFA thing. And she sent me a personalized thank you card, which, by the way, I just got to tell you this real quick. She's genius, because her name is Hannah, and I, donated to help her with her sheep. And she's a junior in high school. And her thank you card also basically passively aggressively solicited me for next year too. Said, hey, I hope you're around next year and able to support me then as well. But anything personal is really good. The other thing that you do is, and I know you on a more personal level, but even if I didn't, I know you're fun, because every once in a while, what you'll do is you'll put up a picture on Facebook and have a caption this contest.
Yeah.
We'll give away an Amazon gift card.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough to win it once. But, so that's, you do a lot of fun things. And that's another thing. That's going the extra mile. That's not easy. You would think, and maybe it's just me, you would think that'd be easy, but I've tried to do the same thing and be consistent about it. And it's not easy to be consistent about it. And you would think finding a goofy picture or a strange picture and just posting it once a month will be easy, but you have to do it with purpose.
Yeah. Consistency is key. And I mean, honestly, that's in everything I do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I hold myself to the highest degree of accountability and try not to falter, because if I don't do that, I'm no good to anybody, and I try to be my best so I can be the best for everybody else.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really love doing, going back to my client appreciation stuff, is at least once a year, and I'm trying to get to where I do at least 2, is I host client appreciation parties.
Great.
And I have a blast doing that. So it's like I either rent a venue, or last year I did it at my house, and I just invite all my favorite people, all my top clients, and just come over. And we just hang out and get like quality time, because in this fast-paced world, you don't see people or get to connect that much. And the cool thing is, now I've done this for so many years that when my clients come, now they have become friends, because they've met at my party. And it's just neat to see that other friendships and things are developing through that. I really enjoy seeing that.
And what you didn't say there is that you didn't say, I'm doing it to hopefully generate some more business for myself. You're doing it because you truly appreciate. And, if it does generate more business, great. But you mentioned the friendships they develop, and that we're all so busy, we don't have time. So, you're doing it.
You have to make time for what's important. That's for sure. And I think, of course, I'm in a sales business, right? So I try to run my business exclusively by referral, but that's where the relationship building comes in. And, you build such good relationships with these people that I had a client not long ago. I laughed. She pulled me aside and said, Melissa, you're always bringing me gifts and leaving stuff on my doorstep or doing stuff for me. And she goes, I couldn't use somebody else if I wanted to, because I'd feel like I was cheating on you. And
exactly.
I thought that cracked me up.
Well, and not only that, with the amount of networking, and I'm not a good networker, but the amount of networking I've had to do since I started this, you realize that the worst thing that can happen, at least to me, is for me to refer someone to a realtor, to a printer, to a plumber, and then have that person have a bad experience.
Exactly. So
I'm very, very picky about who I will refer my friends to, because selfishly, I want at least for that person to be happy that, hey, I'm glad Friedo referred me to Melissa. But selfishly, I want someone to say, wow, Friedo must be a rock star. The way Melissa treated me, it must just be because she wants to make sure Friedo's happy with the way she treated.
And I have that. And I tell all my clients, that's part of my client appreciation is I have a network. I've worked really hard over the years to build a network of people that I trust, the tradespeople, the plumbers, the electricians, the handyman, you name it. And I would not refer anybody to a client who has not personally done work for me.
Yeah.
That I couldn't give 5 stars to. And so that's what I always tell my clients. Like, when they need something, don't Google it. Just call me.
Exactly.
Because I promise I'm going to have somebody who's honest, who's going to get the job done, and you're going to be happy. So don't go at it alone.
And
but
by the way,
sorry, I was just going to say, that is, to me, that's one way you go the extra mile. Because I think one of the biggest fears that people have when they are going through the real estate, they're going through some sort of transaction, they always have that thought in the back of their mind, whether it's true or not, but they have the thought that, is this person being honest and genuine with me? Or are they just trying to, bump up the price so they can get a benefit from it?
Right.
And so you're always worried about that kind of, hey, is this person really on my side? But I think it's when you take steps like that, Melissa, that can really show, hey, look, I'm here for you and I'm on your team. And yes, there's, I'm walking it with you, but I'm here to help you go through it. Why is that such an important thing
for you? It is. I mean, I honestly, with every client I have, it doesn't matter if they're buying or they're selling, whatever they're doing, I literally try to put myself in their shoes. And I give my sometimes too brutally honest opinion. I mean, in this crazy market we're in right now, people are having to go so crazy over asking price with things. And I tell people what I would do. And there's more times than not that I'll talk somebody out of doing something because I know financially it's not a good decision for them. And I don't want them to come back 2 years later because now they're relocating and they're forced to sell their house and they're going to be upside down or something. Like, I want people to make a solid investment and financial decision. And I feel like that is my responsibility. As people are coming to me, they're looking to me for that guidance, and I need to help them make that right decision. Whether if they're going to have to pay more for it, then that might be the case. But, always doing what is in their absolute best interest that is what I strive to do every day.
And at the end of the day, sometimes it's worth paying more.
Absolutely.
If it's the right decision.
Yes. No doubt.
Without a doubt. And the other thing that, whether it's real estate or insurance or, you can learn from other people's mistakes. And I'm guessing that not only do you have your own personal experiences in real estate and transactions you've done, but you get to see transactions other people have done, mm-hmm. and you can keep other people from making those same mistakes.
Absolutely. And I mean, because I don't ever represent both sides of a deal, right? But I see the other side.
Yeah.
So say I have the seller and I'm dealing with the other agent on the other side, like I see a lot of how they're operating, or, communication is key. It is so vital to me for anything to go smooth. And plus, like, again, putting yourself in the client's shoes. If you're trying to buy a house, wouldn't you want a regular update of, hey, what communication has been done? What are the next steps? Like, don't ghost people. Don't leave them in the dark. I always tell my sellers that normally when I'm selling a house, I'm talking to them pretty regularly. Mm-hmm. But at minimum, they can always expect a phone call from me on Friday morning with an update of, this is the action we've had. This is what I think we need to do going forward, so that everybody's on the same page. Because when you're not, it doesn't go as smooth. And then people's expectations are, or they're disappointed because they had a different set of expectations. Yeah. So I tried to set the expectation from the very get-go so people know this is what I can expect when I work with Melissa.
Well, and the biggest fears I have, I think a lot of people, whether they're able to recognize them or not, when they do a big transaction, is fear of surprises, mm-hmm. and fear of the unknown.
Absolutely.
Because if I'm going to do a big transaction, I'm going to do a little research. I'm going to know a lot, but stuff that I don't know that scares me.
Yeah. And there's so much of that in this industry because, getting a house under contract is just half the battle. Once you do that, then you normally do a home inspection. Well, that could be a deal breaker. Mm-hmm. If the house doesn't appraise at the value, that can be another deal breaker. So there's hurdles. Like, you have to educate people. I mean, people who have never done this before, they need the guidance. They need the hand-holding, and even people who have done it. I have a lot of clients who haven't moved or made any kind of move in 20 plus years, and they don't know. Processes change. They don't remember. I mean, for me, I do it every day.
Yeah.
So it's second nature to me. But for anybody else, they need that communication and know what are the steps, what's happening, what can I expect.
And as far as going the extra mile, I think there's a lot of people with very good intentions that think they're going the extra mile. And they really honestly think they are, and they have every intention to do it. But sometimes there's a big difference between their perception and the truth.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, for me, like one of the things I just did yesterday is when my clients get like a house under contract, well, they're probably going to need to start packing to move, right? So moving boxes, all that stuff, it's expensive. Mm-hmm. You know, so I had a lady in my neighborhood post on our neighborhood Facebook page, hey, we just moved in, we have moving boxes and whatnot. I went and picked them all up and I'm delivering them to a client today. Just to like...
Once again, that is the ultimate definition of going the extra mile.
But it's little things, you know, it's the little things. It's not like one massive thing, but it's just providing the value and doing the little things to help people, make them feel appreciated and know that you're a resource for them is, I mean, that's just how I live my life. Same thing with even 8 other realtors in the industry. You know, like I try to build relationships with these people because I'll probably going to do more business with them at some point.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have the good relationship from the get-go and let people know I enjoyed working with them and that I appreciate their professionalism. And, you know, so then when my name pops up on an offer they get, they're probably going to be more likely like, man, she was great to work with.
Yeah.
I'd love to do it again.
And I'd love to tell someone else about it too.
Right.
Kris and I talk about this all the time. Now, what we do is a lot different from you because what we do is pretty simple. You know, what you do is pretty complicated. But we never want a client to dread coming in thinking, oh man, I got to do the podcast today. We want them excited and, you know, it's something they want to do. It's a little different in real estate because there's lots of things to dread, I think.
There are definitely, there are hurdles to overcome.
Yeah. Okay, good.
No doubt.
Good positive way to put it.
But, you know, I mean, if you have the right people in place and you do your due diligence and help your clients do theirs, then it's going to make it way less. Preparation is just key in everything, whether you're buying, selling.
And one of the great things about these podcasts is we can edit things out. So if this is a bad question and you don't want to answer it, feel free to say. But do you have a favorite type of client?
You know, I really enjoy them all. And the reason I say that is I enjoy first-time home buyers because they're super excited. You know, it's like they're finally being able to like reach a milestone and they're letting me help them do that. And it's something they'll always remember. You know, so I really enjoy that. But I also enjoy, it's like people in different phases of their life, you know, so it's like most first-time home buyers you think are maybe younger, right? And they haven't had families yet or whatnot. And then I work a lot with like the, you know, people, the move-up buyers, like, you know, they get in their first house, but now they have 3 kids and man, I need space. And normally a lot of times that can be a more exciting buy because it's a house that they've been dreaming of that it's like, wow, I can't believe I can get this or I can afford this, you know? And then it's neat to see too. Like I have some clients now that they're just retiring and it's like, wow, okay, now I have this whole new phase of life to look forward to. I don't need this 4,000 square foot house anymore. I don't even want it because now I just want to go travel and enjoy myself. So it's like helping them sell so that give them the freedom to go. So there's parts about all of it that I like. You know, every client is just very different. And
you can tell, I wish this was on video, just the way your face kind of lit up when you're talking about every single one of those categories. And one of the things that my thoughts about this podcast, Going the Extra Mile, is that we will dig deep into some of these topics that we're talking about right now. We're just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
In this episode. So I'll ask you another question that we may have to do a full episode on. How much marriage counselor do you have to play?
Well, a good amount sometimes. I mean, it seems a lot of times what the wife wants, the husband does not, for sure. And so you just have to bridge the gap. Like sometimes it can get a little uncomfortable, but you know, I'm trying to always see both sides of it and then give them my genuinely honest opinion. You know, I mean, moving, it is a pain. Nobody likes to move. It's costly. It's a pain in the butt. But sometimes it just has to happen. I mean, like for me personally, when I bought my first house, it was just me. And that house was great. Well, a husband and a kid later, that space is outgrown and it is time to go. And I will say, my husband and I, we did not see eye to eye on things. We looked at a lot of homes and I was ready to pull the trigger and he was not. You know, it was like we kept clashing on things. And finally, you know, when we both walked into the house we're in now, we were like, this is it. Yeah, you know, sometimes you just, you realize it checks almost every box. Like it has to be a compromise most of the time. Unless you're building a home and designing it and getting everything you possibly want, there's things you just have to compromise on. And people need to realize that. Like it doesn't have to be a turnkey house. You can make improvements. They just might not want to, you know, so it's filling them out and seeing kind of where they stand on stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now this is also another portion of the podcast that we can edit out if we want to, but I'm just going to confess to you that I'm a little bit intimidated working with you because you do go the extra mile. And I just kind of described how some people think they do and maybe they don't. I may be one of those people. So I'm kind of intimidated a little bit. But I want to go the extra mile in this episode and get to know you more on a personal level. So if you care to share some of the obstacles you've overcome in your personal life.
Oh, yeah.
To get to where you're at.
I mean, I've overcome a lot in my life. I mean, not to get into this side of it, but a lot of medical stuff I've had to overcome as a kid and even as an adult. And I think having to go through some of those really brutal times has prepared me for now. Like, you know, it's just kind of my theory in life is literally small steps equal big results. Mm-hmm. And it's what I do every day consistently that helps me get to where I want to go. And I worked for corporate America for years. And I mean, I enjoyed it, but it got to the point where, you know, it was always about money. And you got to do this, you got to sell this. And I cannot ethically sell or pressure somebody to buy or get something that I know they're not going to benefit from, that they don't need. Like that is just does not set right with me. And coming from a salesperson, I hate to be sold to. When somebody starts to sell to me, I feel like I shut down, you know? And so it was important for me once I got into real estate to make it personal, you know, and not, you know, it's my client is the one making the decision. I am just guiding them essentially to make the best decision. You know, they're going to pick the house they want. They're going to do all these things, but they're relying on me to help them see that, okay, this house is great, but it's also 30 years old and it's probably going to need 80 grand worth of work. Is that something you want to do? You know, so we have all those conversations, and a more experienced buyer, you know, has less concerns of that stuff. But if it's somebody who's only bought or sold once or twice, they need more of that guidance, no doubt.
Now, the other thing is that you work with golfers, like professional golfers.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about that.
So I'm lucky enough to be able to help the PGA of America. They're in the process of relocating their headquarters from South Florida to Frisco. That is just everybody that I have worked with there, that organization, they're just amazing people, you know, and they have all become friends, and they're all relocating. So it's different than living in McKinney and buying a house in Frisco. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely a level of trust that needs to be had. Like I have a client right now who she was going through some things and she couldn't physically be here. So every house that popped up on the market she wanted to see, I would go to it and I would connect with her via video and do a virtual, just so at least I have eyes on it. I can see if there's something funky or if it stinks or if it's, you know, whatever. And she's totally relying on my judgment, you know, for stuff like that. And that's important to me. You know, you have to have a pretty high level of trust. And now she's under contract on a brand new house and couldn't be happier. And a couple of the other people that I've helped the last few years, it was very similar. We'd connect via video, and then finally, they'd come out and just spend a weekend, and we would just get after it. We might look at 30 houses plus easily in a weekend, but it's just, relocation is a different ball game. And to me, that can be way more stressful for people, especially if they can't physically be here, because they don't know the area. They don't know all the construction things that might be coming up, where it's like, I wouldn't want to buy a house that backed up to a major highway, or if I know a road's going in there, I tell them these things to help them make that better decision.
See, and Kris and I both come from sports talk radio, and I may be living in the land of unicorns and fairies, but I always looked at golf as a game of integrity. And I would think that that whole industry, if they're going to work with someone, they're going to want to make sure that they feel that there's integrity back. And so it's probably not an easy nut to crack to get into that.
No, it's not. But one thing that has helped me is I'm a PGA member myself. And, the PGA of America has been great to me and to my family. And so for me, I want to help. I want to be able to give back and provide that value. So for those people, I have a give back program. So whenever, they buy or sell a house through me, I give them a percentage back to help offset cost, or whether that's to help them buy furniture or whatever. So there's incentive there too, but I do it. I enjoy doing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Kris, how long have we gone so far?
26 minutes.
Okay, so we've gone 26 minutes, and you have mentioned money a very small number of times, and I can only think of once where you talked about money coming to you. And
is that bad?
No, not at all. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay.
And this sounds like an infomercial, but it's not. That's someone I want to do business with. You're very genuine when it comes to wanting to give back and wanting to help other people. And you strike me, it seems like you have the belief that, Zig Ziglar said that if you help enough people get what they want, it's going to come back. You'll get.
Yeah, that's exactly what my business coach has always told me. You give it out in slices and it comes back in loaves. Yeah. That's just how I try to operate. Again, doing all those little extra things for my clients, that helps me stay, I guess, top of mind, right, for them. So when something comes up, or their house floods, or they decide they want to sell, I'm the first call, without hesitation. Like, I want to be that expert for them.
Mostly, you've mentioned a lot of things that make you unique, but what's one thing maybe that we haven't talked about today that makes you different from the other realtors out there?
I feel like and maybe this is being redundant, but it's almost like coaching. I try to coach my clients, so that they know what to expect, and it's not even just my clients. I do that with everything. Just like, I have an accountability partner, right, who's also a realtor and is a good friend of mine. And I think having that relationship and being able to help each other in the same industry. The thing with my industry is most of the time it is very, very cutthroat. Realtors are 9 times out of 10, they're not trying to help other realtors succeed. And I want to help other realtors succeed.
Right.
I want to help the industry, and I want my friends to grow. And so if taking a couple hours out of my week to, field phone calls from other newer agents that have questions and things like that, I'm happy to do it, because you have to start somewhere. And I needed people to take a chance on me and do that when I got in the business. And so it makes me proud to be able to, do things like that, just to help everybody else in the same ball game,
Yeah. And this has been awesome. I feel like everybody now knows you better and knows a lot about who you are and why you do the things you do. And I can imagine that this is going to be a lot of a lot of what this podcast is finding out more about Melissa and the ways, not just that her business can be of assistance to you, but how she can be, through this podcast, a benefit to you as well. So, Melissa, I don't know about you, but I'm really looking forward to this podcast.
Thanks, man. Me too. I always think giving is better than receiving.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes. Well, this was awesome, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.
Thanks, Kris.
If you have questions about buying, selling, renting, or investing, don't go at it alone. Reach out to Melissa at 214-280-4317 or melissa@melissamovesdfw.com. You can find out more about the Melissa Avara Realty Group at TVG by visiting melissamovesdfw.com. Thank you for listening to Going the Extra Mile.